أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan the accursed. I begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. My name is Umar Abdullah. I'm the head of the Wajihatul Islamiyya, the Islamic Front. And I'm here once more on the 26th of February 2019 to speak with you on another pertinent topic that is just around the corner. And we're smack in the midst of this occasion in Trinidad, the Carnival season. And there are some things that I want to talk about and to make us aware of. But first of all, just want to give you some food for thought. A long time ago, we had a game that people used to play on the street corners and nook and cranny and for villages and so on, called Wavy. And it was an illegal game, a game of gambling and so on. People used to, bet their numbers and what have you and so on and so forth, based on what they would have dreamed the night before and, things that would have probably picked up on mornings and that sort of thing. And they would automatically say whether, okay, they like this particular number and that number and this. And every number had represented something. I'm not too familiar with the different terms and so on, but we all know what we're talking about. And so the police would raid these blocks sometimes, and they would lock up these people for gambling and so on. And it was never promoted by the state. It was never promoted by the police and so on. But some years after, we saw the state, the government, adopting the very same concept of this game and legalizing it into something that we know today called Playway. And it's amazing how at one point in time the government would have prevented people from playing this game in a different format, and they would lock you up and charge you, right? And they would indicate that this is an illegal act. It's breaking the law. So they would charge you for the offense and so on. But now it's perfectly legal. There are Playway booths all over the country, even more so than during those days. All right, and it's hampering production in the workplace, because sometimes people go to work and you would often see them with their charts and so on, trying to decide or figure out which number is going to play on which particular day and so on. Some of them would be using their monies to mine a mark, and you hear these terms often being used and so on. And come lunchtime and so on, or their break time from work, they would go and line up at the Playway booth to get their numbers in and so on and so forth. So at one point in time it was illegal. Now it's perfectly legal, but it's being managed and run by the state, and the state is collecting all this revenue from this business. So now the state is promoting this act and this activity to the point where it's causing problems within family circles, in family unit, because sometimes people would use their monies that they would have to buy groceries for the house, or books for the kids to go to school, or even use those monies to pay for transportation, etc., etc. And they would they would use this money to bet on these marks, and they would lose their monies in most cases. Sometimes they will go away with winning and so on. But so the question I'm asking, is it right now that because the state is encouraging and promoting this type of activity, is it safe to say that it is correct, it is right for people to indulge themselves in it? And there are many other things that we can look at. I mean, look at the private gambling establishments where people would have these private clubs, and we all know what goes on in there. These are actually crime dens where people go and they gamble. These dens are used for money laundering and a number of, illegal activities and so on. And it's been run by a syndicate in this country, and a very powerful syndicate to add. And these places are being promoted and encouraged by the state. And again, we ask the question, so because the state has made it legal and is encouraging and is promoting this type of activity, is it right to say that it is correct, it is right for human beings to engage in these type of activities and so on? Is it correct to say that this type of activity is now being run by the state and managed by the state, encouraged by the state, influenced by the state, and promoted by the state? It's somehow creating greater productivity and enhancing the lifestyle of people in this country to the point where families are being bonded together, creating stronger units within the home, within society, and so on. Is it correct that we should say that, or is it actually happening? Contrary to that, it's totally the opposite. And we see in communities where these type of establishments are, and the havoc it creates within the communities, within the home circle, and so on. So now, it brings us to this point where we have, just a couple of days from now, the entire country will be witnessing, not necessarily engaging or participating, but witnessing a grand celebration, right? A festival called Carnival. And it is often said that, Carnival is the greatest show on earth. Well, I beg to disagree. I think Carnival is the worst show on earth. Because at no point in time do we see in our country where so much evil and so much bad behavior can be seen as a result of this festivity or this celebration. I mean, there are other celebrations that we see, there are a lot of bad behavior, bad habits, reckless behavior, and so on, like around Christmas time, Easter time, the different holidays that we have, long weekends and so on, we have in this country, and we see the type of behavior coming out of the people and within our communities and our roadways and so on. But in particular, Carnival, let's discuss this for a bit, and let's look at it, and let's analyze it, and let's see for ourselves whether or not we are being productive here, and whether or not this country is actually treating with the problems that we have and trying to solve the many problems that we have in this country. Or are we creating more problems? And, what, if any, attempts government is making to put a handle on it and to actually treat with it and deal with it in the right way and manage it in the proper manner. So I was, going through some of the social feeds on the different mediums that we have, Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on, Instagram. And there was one particular feed I came about where some people, I don't know if to call them human beings, because they were not acting as human beings. They were totally in disarray. They were jumping and screaming and shouting and prancing on tables and throwing things in the air, and and it was a business establishment, a food establishment in this country, a very popular food establishment, KFC in Arima yesterday. And they were reacting to this particular song that was being played, um, what's the name of it? Take Up Something. I think it is by one of those, the soca artists. Can't quite remember his name right now. I don't pay too much particular attention to these things sometimes. But, for the purposes of treating with our issues and dealing with our problems, we have to understand what is happening before us. We have to pay attention, all right? We have to observe, and we have to analyze well where we're going and the objective that we have as a people in this country and how we're getting there. So, so it's Pick Up Something, and so anytime this song is being played, I think Meister would have commented on this song once, and I in one of my posts, my previous post, I had criticized him for what he had said, and so on. So everybody feels that this song is a popular song. It's a nice song. It's a song of energy because it gets the people all wild and acting up and so on. And they actually, I would say, destroyed this place, this business establishment. And to think that this is the behavior of a progressive people is laughable, really laughable. To think that this is the behavior of a people that wants to see peace and harmony in our country is laughable. To actually believe that this is the behavior of a people who wants to see change and wants to see we rid this country of crime and violence is laughable. Okay? Now, I could remember when we did some programs as it related to Alcohol Anonymous. We often thought that, when these individuals go into these AA meetings, one of the things that they have to do is to admit the fact that they have a problem. And that's the starting point of the treating with the issue of alcoholism and so on. And then they're also told that they have to, separate themselves and not, find themselves in these environments that encourage them to participate in the consumption of alcohol and so on, and that type of behavior and all of that. So one of the key aspects of bringing you to the point of healing as an alcoholic is to remove yourself from that environment and then reassociate yourself with persons who are not, consuming alcohol and not, going in places where they sell the alcohol and serve the alcohol and all of that. So you try to keep away from these environments and so on. So it helps you to heal. It helps you to change and develop and so on. But when we look at the whole aspect of Carnival and the behavior that comes out of Carnival, every year we have people going back into that same environment. So we are trying to heal for the remainder of the year or for the period outside of Carnival. So we're trying to teach people good behavior, good manners. We're trying to teach people to dress decently. We're trying to teach women how to behave themselves in public, how to be a good parent, a good father figure, a good mother figure in the home. Teach the children the right type of conduct, right type of behavior, and so on. And we lead by example, of course. So we have to be good examples and good, um, you know, uh, good, mentors for our children, and all of that. So, and here is when Carnival comes back on the scene. We find everybody just indulging themselves in these behavioral practices that is questionable, whether or not it's of human behavior or something else. Because what I saw in KFC yesterday in Arima was certainly not human behavior. A lot of people may tend to disagree with me, but you know, I'm up for the debate any day. Okay, what has become of that situation? I don't know what the police would have done, what the owners of the establishment would have done, and that sort of thing. But that's left to be seen. So, and we have other instances that I've seen where another soca artist, a female soca artist, taking her feet and resting it on a patron's shoulder, and telling the woman if she has a problem with her taking her man, etc. And the behavior that this soca artist exhibited on the stage in front of all those people, and being shared on social media, which is being viewed by our youth, by young children, our kids, our up-and-coming young children in this country, our up-and-coming future leaders in this country, and seeing that behavior coming out of someone who ought to at least attract a certain sort of, how should I put it? I mean, they ought to be mentors. They ought to be, good exemplars. All right, they ought to be sending the correct and proper message to society, especially to the young people. And the behavior of this celebrity was very questionable in my mind. What the hell was she thinking at that point in time? Was it the drugs, or was it the alcohol? I'm beginning to question these things, because on a normal day you would not find people behaving like that. And then we see in the fetes where whenever the song is being played, pick up something, people are picking up people's belongings and running away with it. They're picking up persons in the fetes and the parties and so on. And this is the type of behavior and this is what the state is encouraging. And this is what the state is promoting. On a normal day, the state is not promoting this type of behavior. This type of behavior will consider breaking the law on a normal day in Trinidad and Tobago. So why is the TTPS, why is the police, why is the state agencies promoting such lewd and reckless behavior amongst the people in this country? Are we really serious about solving our problems? Are we really serious about solving the crime situation in this country? Are we really serious about fixing the homes in this country? In this country, are we really serious about fixing family, healing the home? Are we really serious about doing that? We see a young girl in one of the other videos I was looking at, where she took the mic from the soca artist, and she began singing the song, and the crowd went wild and started to pick up stuff in the fete and so on. And this is a young girl, and we saw recently where the Ministry of Education is warning people against whining on young children. So my question here is, how foolish could we be as a country where in one instance we are warning people not to whine on children, and we are bringing children in that said environment for people to whine on them? I'm finding it very, very difficult to understand these things. Really and truly. You can call me crazy, you can call me what you want. But I don't know if you who are viewing this right now is understanding what I'm saying. I don't know if you are catching my point, but I'm having a difficult time in understanding this type of behavior, this type of activity that is happening before our eyes in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is the future of our nation. These are the youths. These are the people who are going to lead us into the 21st century and beyond. Right? Look at the behavior in our schools. You're actually telling people, warning people, do not whine on children when you're taking them in the said environment where these people are going to do it. Meister is telling the country, do not pick up people's things and go away with it. But we are still seeing, and it's happening far worse than when he said it, that people are picking up things and just going away with it, and they're lifting persons up on the streets and so on. And we're seeing all this happening. How could this be a productive, well thought out, well planned, well strategized festival that is bringing people together and celebrating the art and celebrating the culture of the people of Trinidad and Tobago? I'm ashamed to think that is our culture. I'm ashamed to tell people that is Trinidad and Tobago culture. I am ashamed to do that. I'm ashamed to showcase this festival on the world stage and tell people this is how we Trinidad and Tobagoans celebrate life. This is how we celebrate art and celebrate culture. It is nonsense in my mind. It is crazy to think how women let themselves down and degrade themselves and degrade them, bring themselves to the lowest of the low around this time. You see women, the way they behave in these fetes and these parties, whining on persons that they don't know. I saw in one video feed where a picture was taken of a man and his penis was outside his trousers. And he was, obviously whining on women in that party. This is the behavior. This is the behavior of our women. This is the behavior of our future mothers of this country. This is the behavior of our daughters, our sisters. And these women are dancing to the very songs that is degrading them and making them into objects rather than human beings. And I can't understand for the life in me why the women liberalization movement in Trinidad and Tobago, the women movements and the women arms in this country and the women organizations and all these different women groups in this country has nothing to say about it. Has nothing to say about it. You might very well find the leaders of these organizations in the mass bands dancing to those tunes. It is the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. It's no longer the celebration of mass as we knew it. It's the celebration of beads and strings and feathers. That's the costumes. That's the costume. As people pay thousands of dollars, I understand, for one of those costumes. And I think they get food and water and drink and what have you and so on. It's a complete package that they buy. And this is what Carnival has become in Trinidad and Tobago. Because why? Our irresponsible government, our reckless government our reckless agencies have promoted and allowed to be promoted this type of behavior amongst our people in this country, year after year. How are you going to pull it back? How are you going to change it now? How it is you're going to ask for soca artists to sing sensible songs with lyrics that people could understand and people could relate to. How it is you're going to get them to do that? How it is you're going to get them to stop singing rum songs and songs about intoxication and all this type of nonsense? Look at the carnage on the roads around this season, Carnival time. Most of the accidents, and the wee hours of the morning, late at night, people are going home from parties. Isn't that a result of drunk driving or tiredness in some cases? People are dying on the roadways, as a result of this festivity that you call the greatest show on earth. How could this be the greatest show on earth when it is sinking our nation deeper into the abyss? How could it be called the greatest show on earth? I cannot understand that. To see the behavior of our people and the government, they're promoting this type of thing. The police, you see them guarding and protecting the behavior of the people, protecting the behavior of the people by standing guard, so nobody can go and interfere with these people. Yeah, you can't go inside and interfere with them and tell them, hey, you can't be behaving like this. You can't. That will be a crime you'll be committing if you do that. So the police is on the outskirts guarding the bad behavior, and the police wants to know why we have high incidence of crime in this country, high incidence of robberies and violence and all these things. They want to know why. They're asking how it is can we solve this problem. We are creating the problems ourselves, and we are promoting it, and we are allowing it to be promoted and encouraging it when we stay silent and we don't say anything. A lot of us, we're guilty of it because we stay home on Carnival Monday and Tuesday, don't we? A lot of us stay home. We don't want to go out there in that mess, but we say nothing and we don't talk about it. We don't raise the issue. We don't bring it forward for discussion. We don't talk about it on the airwaves. Instead, what we hear on the airwaves, pick up something and run with it. We hear about these rum songs and all these nonsense that they play on the radio and call it art and culture. So am I to believe that our culture is rum? That's our culture? And now the same senseless, ill-informed government is going to Parliament to discuss the idea of legalizing marijuana. This same bunch of people who was mashing up the place in KFC in Arima, you want to give the green light for these people to smoke weed in this country? These same people you want to smoke weed in this country? The same people you see in the feds picking up everybody's business and walking away with it like it's nobody's business. We saw in the army fed what happened. The army actually come out and beat people with baton because they were picking up the bins and what have you. These are the same people that you want to go and legalize marijuana for them to smoke. Well, we're done. We're gone through. We have no future in this country. We have no bright light in this country. None. Look at what's happening. Look at the amount of, we are very well familiar with the term carnival babies. What do we mean by carnival babies? What do we mean by that? People having illicit sexual interactions, intercourse, fornication, adultery, all these things are happening, and it is increased around this time. How could we call it again? How could we call it the greatest Carnival? How could? It's the worst show on earth because of our behavior, because of what we have become. It is no longer the focus is on, calypso, the real true art of this festival. It wasn't about soca, it wasn't about chutney, it wasn't about, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a Muslim, and you may think I'm arguing both sides of the lesser evil and the greater evil. But we have to understand where we must start. And we have to consider where we are at now and what it is we need to do to address this issue and to get our people to understand what is real and true art and culture and how to appreciate it in the right and proper manner, using the right tools and the proper platform in which to present it. Not like what is being done now. We are encouraging, bad behavior. We're encouraging, and this is something that we would not like to see, our families and our schools and our educational institution, exhibit this type of behavior. But yet we're promoting it. How foolish can we be? How foolish can we be? And the women in this country should be ashamed of yourselves. Ashamed. Look at the behavior of you women, the mothers of our children. You're the mother of our future. And look at your behavior. Look at the behavior. It should shame. You women, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you want men to respect you. What I see goes on in the parties, I am seeing no respect for women. And you are allowing it. You are inviting men to treat you in that manner. And you're telling men it is okay for you to sing about me in that manner. And you're telling men it is okay for you to undress me in that manner. And to look at me in that manner. And to lust after me in that manner. That's what you're doing. Shameless. You should be ashamed of yourself. I don't care what anybody says. From the Prime Minister, the President, come straight down to the Commissioner of the Police. You all are guilty. Guilty of promoting bad behavior, criminal behavior, violent behavior, and all that goes with it. You're guilty. And you're not serious about solving any of our problems in this country. You're not serious about solving crime. You're not serious about solving anything. It's laughable to think that we talk about, first world status. We talk about education. We talk about, our people being brought up in a respectable manner. We want our youth to respect the elders. We want our men to respect the women. We want, people in society to respect the elders. We want them to respect leadership. We want them to respect. But where and how are we achieving that when we allow and we promote this type of behavior? How are we going to achieve that? How are we going to achieve it? So all those people who decide to go to the beach and the camps and the, stay at home and to stay away and go to the river and make a cook and fish and what have you and so on. You're part of the problem because you're staying away from the activity because the fact that it's not. It is madness, as you say. You don't want to be part of that madness. But yet we don't talk about it. Yet we don't, you know, talk about it on social media. We don't talk to our ministers about it. We don't talk to our representatives about it. Our village councils in our cities and our villages and so on. Our village councils and our villages, our corporations in the cities and so on. We don't engage the councillors. We don't engage the um, the mayor and the chairman of the corporation and so on, and to advise them that they should pay particular attention to the activities around Carnival time and what they should allow and not allow. We don't have that discussion. We don't create that platform for that type of dialogue. We don't ever do it. We just allow the same thing to happen year after year, and it gets worse. Look at where it has reached. Look at what happened in KFC in Arima yesterday. Look at the madness that is happening before our eyes. Why should we be tolerating this? Why should the government be promoting this type of behavior and allowing this to happen? Allowing our youth to see this, to witness this. Then what it is we're going to expect and how it is we're going to expect our youth to behave in the future in this country. So this is a very serious issue. If we don't think it is serious, well then, I don't know. May God help us. Really and truly. I am, it cannot be that if the government promotes something that is evil, that is wicked, that is bad, because the government is promoting it, because it make it legal, it is good. How could it be? How could it be? When God Almighty had instructed Adam and Eve not to eat of the forbidden fruit, was there anything wrong with the fruit? Was there anything wrong with the fruit? Would they have died? They eat the fruit, or that kind of thing. What was really wrong with the fruit? It was all about the instruction not to. When God instructs you not to eat of the forbidden fruit, they did not obey God. They went and ate of the forbidden fruit, and we all know the story after. There's a reason why God, in the holy books, different religions, there are laws laid down in those books for mankind to follow those laws. And if it is we follow those laws, we are going to have a perfect society. We're going to have a society that is free of the evil that we see present in our society today. So when God has placed in the holy books, laws against intoxication and laws against gambling and all these things, and the government now come and take these laws and make it legal, are you saying that you have made it correct? You have made what God said was wrong, you have come and made it okay? So you're changing the law of God? You're selling the laws of God Almighty for miserable price in your legislation. We see now where you're going to legalize, gays in this country, when God had destroyed an entire town because of that sinful act. So you're saying now, because you're the state and you're the government, you are going to make it right. So alcohol consumption has been, disallowed in the holy text, and now you have made it law that alcohol is legal, it's permissible to consume. So you make it right. So you have adopted the position of Godhead. That's what you did. Because God don't know what he's doing. God doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't know what he created, and he doesn't know how to manage the world and his creation. So you, the government, knows better than God Almighty. You are going to change the laws, and you're going to make it all okay, all correct, and all right. And this is the mess that we found ourselves in today. This is the mess. Now you're talking about legalizing marijuana. You want to follow everybody else. Copycat, you want to play and follow everybody else. And give these same misbehaved people you seen in those feds picking up people's stuff and running away with it. You want to give them the green light to smoke weed. It's laughable to think what you, the government, is doing. It's laughable to think this. It's crazy. I don't know how it is you all. Really, I am surprised at the level of thinking of our people in this country. And I've said it in my previous videos. Free thinking. That's what the government is afraid of. The people in this country to be free thinkers and to start thinking for themselves and analyzing it for what it is, and calling out exactly what it is, saying what it is. So now, this song that is being sung, nobody has found it necessary to ban this song on the airwaves and to ban this song in the parties. May God Almighty forbid that somebody lose their life as a result of this song. May God forbid. Pick up something and run with it. But let me tell you something. I have a message to the entire nation, to the government of this country, to all the agencies that are promoting this type of nonsense in this place. They're really going to pick up something and run with it. And you know what is that something? They're picking up our dignity, our character, and our sovereignty. That is what they're picking up and running away with. They're stripping us of every single thing that we should be proud of in this country. They're stripping us of everything that we should be proud of in this country and running away with it. They're taking it up and running away with it. That's what they're doing. I am ashamed to say that I'm a Trinidadian, Trinbagonian. I'm ashamed to say that. When you look at the behavior of these individuals, I'm ashamed of our women, the behavior of our women, and the way they carry out themselves in public, and the way they disrespect themselves and expect men to respect them. I am ashamed. I'm sorry. There's nothing good I can say. Where are the calypsos that we were accustomed hearing, but the good, nice, and beautiful lyrics and the words and the message. Where are those? Where are those? Where is the um the Peter Minchel's of mass, the creativity, the storytelling of mass? Where it is? It's no more. It's all about, I don't know. It's not there. We have lost the true essence of what Carnival started off as being. And I'm not a supporter of Carnival, all right? I am not a promoter of it. I am not, but for you know, as a matter of generalizing it for argument's sake, which is not something I'm supposed to be doing anyways, but I live in a country like this, all right? I mean, where is the real true essence of the carnival and what it meant and what it reflected and what it represented? Honestly, we have lost it. That idea has been lost. It's no more. It cannot be seen no more. It cannot be felt no more. It's not there. Who's responsible? Who's responsible? Who are the ones who have to take up the mantle to change it? That is something we have to decide upon. And it's something that we have to take into serious consideration. Where do we go from here? And if it is, we still have a couple of days before the major festivities, I would suggest that we take a serious look before we take another step, before we go to the next fete, before we go to the next party. And I'm saying we here, but I mean you all, because you won't find me in those fetes and you won't find me in those parties, right? Take a serious, um, you know, look at yourself. What contribution do you want to make? What positive contribution do you want to make in this country to change our state of affairs? There's no productivity in this country, no more. Everything is about fete and party and wild behavior and misbehaving, reckless behavior, and all these things. Let us get serious. I think we have a serious decision to make. Whether or not we want to be participants and continue to encourage and promote that type of silliness, or whether we want to be productive and we want to be the game changers here in this country. I'm advising everybody, stay away. Stay home. Don't go. Don't be part of that mess until government finds a way to change it and to bring it back to some sense of normalcy, good behavior, respect. This is the decision that we have to make. If we are serious about change and we really want change in this country, we want to be safe, we want to rid ourselves of the crime, rid ourselves of the violence that we see happening before us every day. This needs to change. And no better time to do it than now. Let us send a clear message to the Carnival promoters, to the government agencies that pumps millions of dollars into this festivity. Look what you're doing. People in this country, they're not getting salaries. They're not getting enough, the right salary, the correct, wages and so on. Some people can't send their children to school. People, up until today, I spoke to a mother and a daughter in Tobago. They are facing, a lot of challenges right now. The mother's practically bedridden. She can't take care of herself. The daughter has to stay away from work. They have no money. They have nothing in their house. And you're pumping millions of dollars into a festival that is doing nothing other than encouraging and promoting bad behavior amongst people in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is what you want to showcase to the world? This type of behavior? This is your end product? This is your trump card? Come on. Let's get serious in this place. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. All right? So again, I want to put a plug onto this this video. May God Almighty forgive me if I wrong anyone, if I misled anyone, or said anything that was wrong. May He forgive me. May He continue to guide me along the right path and to see truth as it is, and to, see untruth as it is, and to highlight the issues that is plaguing us, this country, and creating a difficult way forward. And I pray that God Almighty will give us the strength, the understanding, the patience, and the will to change it, and to bring it back to a point where it is manageable and it's comforting for everyone. So I want to end by saying, and always keep this in mind, there are no two jobs more dearer to God Almighty than one job for the fear of Allah and one job in the path of Allah, God Almighty. We have to fear Him, and we have to struggle, and we have to journey along that path that is going to take us closer to our Creator and further from the mayhem and the evil that this country is bathing in right now. Take care. Until next time.